there is a concept which is mentioned and discussed by Chazal, the Midrash, and especially by the commentators on the Torah. It's known as Masa Ovo Simin Labonim, that the actions of the patriarchs forecasts the future, the actions of the children. For instance, the first test that Avraham Avinu was confronted with was Lech lecha mi'artzecha u'mevaradcho beis avicha. He should leave his homeland, his birthplace, and his family. To go where? To the land that I will show you. And what's going to happen there? At this moment, Avram had no wealth, he had no children, he had no renown. If you go there, wherever that location is, Avram at this moment did not know where he was going. He was just following the word of God. You will have family, you will have children, you will have wealth and renown. Avram met the test. Meaning, going forward, everything will turn to be very positive. He's leaving a community called Kasdim, the Kasdian location. And the Torah tells us he left Ur Kasdim, the kiln of Kasdim. What exactly is the kiln of Kasdim? Avram, at this point, was considered a pariah by his family, by his countrymen, because he was a monotheist. He declared his beliefs in God and would not in any way compromise his position of belief. He rejected paganism on the most extreme level. As the Midrash tells us, his father was a manufacturer of idols, and he went and smashed the idols of his father. His father had brought him to Nimrod, who was the king. And the judgment was that if he does not bow to the idol, he will be thrown into the fiery kiln. Avram chose to die, to go into the fiery kiln, rather than to bow to the idol, which is false. And he was thrown into the kiln. God performed a miracle that he came out of the kiln unsinged. At this moment, he left. God gave them the choice to go or not to go. If he goes to the land, this unknown location, which God had stated, he will merit everything. He will become the father of the eternal people, the Jewish people. And if not, he'll be a blip on the spectrum of history, of existence. He's there and he disappears. Otherwise, he is the totality of existence. He chose to meet the challenge. And he went. He, his wife, Lot, his nephew, and all the people who he had converted to monotheism. As the Midrash tells us, Avram converted the males to monotheism, Sarah, his wife, the matriarch of the Jewish people, converted the women. And they went to the land that God said, you shall go. Everything's supposed to get easier. But rather than getting easier, it became more difficult. After being in Canaan For 3 months, Avram's confronted with a famine. It was the most serious famine in the history of existence. Avram says to his wife, we must go to Egypt. Egypt does not have the famine. This is after 3 months. Another person would say, here I was willing to have faith and trust that all that God said was going to be, wealth, children, renown, things are getting easier. This is the land of blessing. And here I'm 3 months and we're in an impossible situation. It's a question of starvation. What exactly is God doing? Avram did not question God. He says to his wife, we're going to Egypt because that's where the food is. We're going to survive. And then the Torah tells us a story. Sari Menu, being one of the most beautiful women who ever lived in the history of existence, Avram was concerned that if the Egyptian people will see her beauty, they will kill him and take his wife to be the queen of Egypt. So he concealed her in a box. However, when he came to Egypt and he said to her, if we're confronted and you found out, I want you to say that you're my sister and not my wife. And she was found out, she was located, and they were overwhelmed with her beauty. And they said, this woman is fit to be the queen of Egypt. And they whisked her off to Paro. And Avram says, Achosi, she is my sister. And because he said that, the level of wealth as a dowry was given by the king of Egypt, which was unheard of. Avram had such wealth, he was laden with wealth. Not only himself, even Lot, his nephew. And Sori Menu, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, attempted to defile her. But Sarah Imenu, being even greater than Avram in prophecy, said to the angel who accompanied her, smite him. And the moment she said smite, he was smitten. Paro realized immediately that she's a married woman, she's a holy woman, miracles are taking place, and he could not, under any circumstance, affect this couple. He summons Avram with a reprimand. How do you tell me it's your wife? It's your sister, it's your wife? Didn't even wait for a response. And he gave out the order, no man should touch or be involved with this couple. And he gave them a royal escort out of Egypt. Avram leaves Egypt with tremendous wealth, unheard of wealth, to return to Canaan. He goes down to Egypt in an impoverished state. He leaves Egypt with the wealth of the world. What is this an indication of? Masa Ovasim Labanim. This is forecasting the destiny of the Jewish people. That in the future, as Avram went to Egypt with nothing, and he was forced to go because the circumstance, identically his descendants, Yaakov, his grandchild, with 70 members of his family, are going to descend to Egypt. However, when they leave Egypt, they're going to leave Egypt with the wealth of Egypt, heavily laden with gold and silver. As we mentioned, the Midrash says the least amount of wealth that was taken out of Egypt was 10 pack animals laden with gold and silver. Avram leaving Egypt with this wealth that was given to him by Paro, in the future, Pharaoh will say, whatever the Jews want, just give to them. We emptied Egypt when we left Egypt at the time of redemption. This is the concept of Masa Ovos Simin Labonim. The actions of the patriarchs are an indication what's meant to come in the future, the predicament of the children.